Our guest today is the second half of the Summit Enterprises. He owns a partial in Summit Construction and Painting and Summit Lawn Care and pretty much every other venture we do here. Josh, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Josh Lutz. Was born in Vacaville, California. Moved here when I was about 18 and was just doing construction ever since I was about 16.
What brought you from California?
Your sister, my wife.
What about her, my sister?
What about your sister? We went to prom together. We stayed in contact and did long distance for about 4 years. Then I decided to move here and get married.
Nice. So what brought you into the world of construction? Because I know you have 2 degrees and you went to college for a little bit. What about construction was it that made you choose that career over something else?
Like I said, I've been into it since I was about 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all I've known, but it's all I've enjoyed in my life, in my professional work life.
Sure.
I love working with my hands, getting to create something in my head and see through it all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what was the point in construction that you realized, okay, like this is something I could do for myself and I could own a business and I don't want to work for somebody else necessarily?
probably about a week before we started the business.
About a week before.
Yeah.
How do you like it so far? What are your favorite parts about it?
Definitely owning a business, definitely the time factor. In the beginning, we were working, for someone else. And on top of that, we were working an additional 6 hours trying to get the business going. But, now that we have employees and, we have things set in place, we can take a step back, and I really enjoy the time of it.
Yeah. What are your least favorite things about owning a business?
Paying taxes really sucks.
Yeah.
Payroll tax. And
we just paid like $9,000 in taxes over the last few weeks.
Yep. And they just keep on coming.
Yep. What was the initial push, you think, to owning a business? Like, what kind of pushed you in that direction? I know you say that, you owning a business, you kind of found that motivation for it about a week before we started, but what pushed you in that direction?
Definitely you.
Definitely me. How so?
You wanted to get out of I don't know about the cycle, but get out of the
rat race is what you call it.
Of just, being an employee and putting in your hours. You wanted to rise above that and make something of yourself. And I really found a lot of inspiration in that. And
yeah.
I wanted to.
And it's not just because there are people that are employees. Like there's people that are meant to be business owners and people that are meant to be employees. And not I don't want to talk down about being an employee, but ultimately with Summit Construction, I wanted to have something that was a business for us that created financial freedom. And just like you said, free time to go do things and spend time with our family and not be gone all the time, but also have a business that people could work at and they could be a blessing to them and they could pivot, to do other things. Like we have one employee, Eli, who's getting his contractor's license to be his own contractor, and I fully support that. You know what I mean? I don't want this to be a place where we only care about you when you're clocked in.
Yeah, definitely.
What are some of your strengths in the business, and what do you think are some of your weaknesses in the business?
Some of my strengths are, I would say, leading people. When I was growing up, I had a lot of leadership classes and did a lot of leadership things in my hometown. So leading the team, making sure everyone's set up, ready to go. Making sure I'm explaining things really well.
Yeah.
Weaknesses is definitely more the mental side of construction, like thinking about angles, thinking 10 steps ahead. I don't think that's my weakness, but that's definitely something I struggle with.
Are you doing anything to work on those and change that so those aren't necessarily as much of a weakness or a weakness per se?
Just trying to get more knowledge on how to do things, more research.
Yeah. What have you found that has helped you with that? Just reading books, podcasts, YouTube videos?
This is going to sound weird, but honestly, lion's mane mushrooms. Just the
supplement?
Yeah, the supplement.
Do you put it in your coffee? Or
I put it in my coffee every morning, and it seems like it helps me. It helps my brain get going on, trying to think through an issue. It makes my brain less foggy. So
yeah. Did you have any mentors or influences or idols? Not idols, but people you look up to, or you want to replicate in the business as, I guess?
Yeah, definitely my old youth leader, Jason Williams. He was a very big part of I would say my Christian life and my work life. Seeing him work as hard as he's doing, I definitely want to strive to be more like him. He's a city inspector in Vallejo. So
Here's a good question. I always let people feel kind of like an imposter syndrome when in business. At what point at what point did you feel like, oh wow, like I am a general contractor, like I do in a business?
definitely when we bought our first truck, the Toyota Tacoma,
Yeah.
the 21. Yeah, that was weird because I've never wanted, had any desire to buy a truck, at a dealership and, have it like that. If it just felt official, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think has been your favorite project and maybe like one of our best projects that we probably did really well on?
It's kind of a double-edged sword. The deck that we built somewhat recently, it came out great. The guys did great. We hired on Elijah, and he didn't know what he was doing, but he still worked his ass off and, did a really good job. I think the pre-finished project came out really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that stumble with the finish of the wood was
What do you mean by the finish of the wood?
Well, so we pre-sanded all the boards. He was just using regular old pine,
Sure.
or Doug fir, 2x6 for the actual deck surface. After we had installed it, it was really muddy out, and so we were stepping on the deck a lot, transferring mold spores. And he also had his roof cleaned off onto the deck, and I think
so maybe some zinc or something.
Yeah, it just it ruined the surface of the deck. And yeah, that client I think kind of fell through. So
yeah, well, I mean, not to say we just left the deck like that. Like we've also made plans to go back and fix that.
Yeah.
So as soon as the weather's good, we'll go out there, refinish his deck, and put a protective coating on it for him.
Right. Yeah.
So
but that was a little bit of a learning curve. It's just not something I'd have to deal with. In my experience building decks, I've always built Trex decks or timber tech or whatever. So we haven't had to really finish a deck yet. So
yeah,
just something I hadn't thought about.
Something like I have a question about, just because I feel this personally. Sometimes owning a business makes like this weird barrier between you and your other friends that don't. And it can sometimes make it hard to like relate to them in conversation because like you bring up struggles. Like everyone's struggles are different. Everyone has different problems, right? But like I've noticed that when I have an issue with, maybe making sure we have money for payroll, you talk to someone else about that and they're just like, well, I just don't want to make sure my rent's paid. Like they don't have that same understanding. So do you ever have a hard time like relating to people when having that kind of conversation or just kind of venting to somebody?
Yeah, my two best friends from Vacaville, both of them are in college, and so they're playing the broke college game right now.
Yeah.
And so when I try to, talk to them, there's not a large connection between our struggles and someone who doesn't own a business,
Yeah. Yeah, it's not all sunshine and roses. I mean, I think people think from like looking in that we have a lot of money because we have a lot of stuff. It's like, no, we're just financially irresponsible.
Yeah.
There are some days, I mean, it's just like, I feel like being an entrepreneur. Some days we have 40,000 in the bank. Some days we have 4,000 in the bank. You know what I mean? It just fluctuates so much.
Literally on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. I mean, it fluctuates daily when you're paying for materials and permits and, you have payroll to make and subcontractors to pay out. It's just, it's a lot. So before we kind of get into personal things, as far as the business goes, what advice would you give to somebody wanting to start a construction company, maybe get their CCB and bond and insurance?
Just jump off the bridge and do it.
Just do it?
Yeah. I think that was, like I said, I spent probably a week thinking about starting the business. And I think if I had thought about it any longer, I wouldn't, we wouldn't be here.
What do you think were some like mistakes that you made in the beginning that you would maybe like caution somebody else who's starting a business, like, hey, don't do these things? Like,
undervaluing your work. I feel like for the first couple projects that we did, we're like, man, no one would spend $13,000 remodeling their, half their house.
Yeah. And
it's like, well, you need to do your research and, ask your friends what, if you have any contractor friends, what their prices are, and, just value your work correctly, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's a little different if you're a one-man band or if you're, trying to hire on 3 guys immediately. That's 2 different sides of the coin, I guess.
Yeah. Well, getting a little bit into personal, like for like you and I feel like you're one of my best friends I have, if not my best friend other than my wife. But I feel like we have a lot of business conversations, and so sometimes that creates like a weird rift where our conversations don't always get as much on like a personal level. So I am curious to know more about you personally. What are your goals with the business? Not necessarily for the business, but like you want to see yourself complete through the business. You know what I mean? Like it's like buying a house, but that's something you already have. Like in that direction, what do you kind of want to do?
For the business, I would like to see myself in more of a manager role instead of a daily operation role. I'd like to build my own house, so being able to afford to do that, but also to, maybe afford to have our guys come and help with me building the house. And growing the business, I would like to see it get to one of the top businesses in Grants Pass. I think that would be
Top
really,
business
really cool.
total or just top construction?
Construction businesses. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're beating
Dutch
Bros.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. Well, when you're a national corporation and you're publicly traded on the stock market.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still public, but they were at one point.
I guess I'd like to see us be like one of the big dogs, like like Vitus or
Outlier.
Osland or Outland.
Yeah. I think it's definitely possible. I think it just takes integrity and honestly time in the game.
Definitely.
Consistency is a lot when it comes to business.
Definitely.
So, what are your like personal goals? Things you want to do over the next 5 years?
5 years. So, my wife and I bought a house. I think 2 years ago now. Realizing it wasn't the best financial decision at the time. I would like to see myself in 5 years be able to sell that house and put myself in a better financial position. More financial peace, I guess.
Yeah,
that's one of the biggest things on my mind for the next 5 years.
So what's your plan with the business? I know you talked about kind of your 5-year plan. What's the plan with the business as far as long term? Is this something you want to do for the rest of your life? Do you have other businesses you want to do? Where do you want to segue? Do you want to just retire from construction, or do you have investments? Or
as far as I see it, construction is my passion. Specifically like building decks. I absolutely love it. So, like I said, as far as I see it right now, it's probably what I'm going to be doing the rest of my life.
Sure.
I definitely want to start up side businesses. I want to start a dump trailer rental company. That's more for like passive income. I'd probably like to own a couple houses just for renting. Yeah.
Just single family homes or duplexes, quadplexes?
Single family homes. So when I moved here, there was not a lot for like an actual, starting a family. There wasn't very many good rentals for a good price. I think it'd be really cool if I owned a couple properties that I could at least, help a couple families out at.
Yeah, for sure. Well, kind of an ending statement here. If there was something that you could leave this world, maybe it's on your gravestone, some kind of piece of advice that you would like to give to the people in the world, what would your piece of advice be?
I would say try, in everything that you do, try to keep other people in mind. Try to be considerate of others.
That's funny. It kind of ties into my ending statement, which is the world is full of nice people. If you can't find one, be one.
Oh, snap.